Hello all benders and non-benders, and welcome back to Avatar Generations. Take a deep breath, because we about to dive into the deep end of some quests. We are currently at the very beginning of the Generations Festival events, with 2 new events going on today, and a whole lot more, so we're going to get into it. Now, this is going to be, of course, y'all will see this all nice and spread out. This is going to be a bit of a marathon session for me. Starting for today, we're going to be, of course, covering the events and the quests going on right now. Next, we're actually going to cover the patch notes in a separate video, and then, of course, some delightful summons. And then the 4th video that will be coming out will be going over this brand new feature known as Event Quests. We'll be looking into that together, learning together, and seeing just what it has for us. But for now, our ticket of the day here are the events, and we have got 5 pages total. The Awakening, Ascension Bazaar, Generations Festival, In Search of Strength, and Energy Endurance. Now, we're going to start with Energy Endurance and then kind of work our way up from there. Energy Endurance is very simple, thankfully. They're not all going to be simple, but we're going to start off easy. Energy Endurance, you just spend energy. Spend energy, with the most valuable reward here being these nature stones. Looks like a total of 225 if I'm correct. So, those, nice and easy. Super easy. You just play the game. Nice and chill. Nice and chill. Next, we're going to go over the Ascension Bazaar here. This is acquiring materials mostly. You get to acquire incense, candles, bowls, the beads, and then, of course, the 2-star variants. To get some very helpful Ascension materials. Once you complete those, you will get some more nature stones. 75 4 times, coming out to a nice healthy 300. So, some nature stones for the energy, and then some nature stones from just earning stuff. A lot of this stuff you'll just earn from doing your adventures, from doing boss battles, and then you can get them from the shop as well. So those 2, very, very easy. Now the next 2, some event-focused ones here. We first of all have the Awakening. This one seems to really focus on a lot of Exile faction heroes. We do have some complete adventures with Exile heroes. That does count per hero. So, if you're doing your adventures, you can put multiple Exile characters on one team. I believe, of course, Fire Nation Zuko is an Exile character. Kiwak is an Exile character, and I have no doubt that there are others. So, that's what we've got going for there, and then we have upgrading Exile faction heroes and ascending them. Very standard stuff, especially if you get one of the new characters we're going to be talking about very soon. We have inflicting the water element on enemies in battle, inflicting the special element, inflicting knockdown, and then using summon tickets. If you do get all of these completed, we have 2 tickets here. This makes 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, if I am correct here. So, this one is very much just doing Exile characters and then getting all of these debuffs. There are plenty of characters in the game that can help you for the water element. Any waterbender, you can use them in combos. Also, if you have a Kelsong, Kelsong is actually very good at inflicting that water element. Pirate Man, good old Pirate Man is also very good. Tiluk Turuk, or whatever his name is. Pirate Man, yeah, he's good. Special element characters, the recently released Goro will actually help you out a lot with that. And then Knockdown, we do have several characters that can inflict knockdown. Kelsong is another one who can do that. I'm forgetting who else we have off the top of my head. If you do have characters that can inflict imbalance, that can also lead to kind of an indirect knockdown. But in this case, just kind of work with whatever characters you have. And now, we have In Search of Strength. Now, this specifically relates to the event quests, the new set of challenges that we can do. First of all, what you do get here are these pearl-handled daggers. This is the currency for the event, basically, for the rewards. As you go through here, you can get one of these relics here. This is a peace relic, very cool, increasing max HP by 10% for the battle, and then granting HP regen to the caster and up to 2 random allies for 1 turn when the caster performs any action. I believe this was also, you could also get a copy of this in the Awakening quest here. Yes, you can. So that's 2 copies of that relic right there, and not to worry, we shall see more copies very soon. That is for clearing the quest battles. We have a stage 1, a stage 2, a stage 3, a stage 4, and a stage 5, finishing you off with 3 Peace Chaos tickets. Not bad at all. All you have to do is complete those once. As we go down, though, you'll see that it's starting to require more completions, going all the way up through 75 for another 3 Peace Chaos tickets. So I guess this is telling us that those battles are going to be replayable. Like I said, we'll be going over those very soon. And then battle using Fire Element heroes. That'll get you some materials here. Battle with Exile faction heroes. Zuko can kind of double as both. And then using Peace Chaos tickets to get a few Peace Chaos tickets back. So that is all of the unique challenges. And then finally, the Generations Festival event lasting for the next 41 days. This is your standard one that will get you event tickets, Peace Chaos tickets, and of course, the coveted skill token. So once you go through here, you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the event tickets, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Peace Chaos tickets, and then finish it off with the skill token. The devs have assured us that the event is going to actually work. That's what we're hoping for here. We want our events to work. Thankfully, myself, I got through all of the tickets, just wasn't able to get that token, which they did explain was going to happen, and they gave us one for free, which was kind of nice of them. Kind of nice of them. But yeah, so a ton of loot here. An actual ton. They're treating us good in this event, and believe it or not, we're not done yet, because we gotta take a look at the shop. First of all, we do have the Ascension Bazaar. We have been through this before. Just a nice little way to spend some of your boss materials and other items to get yourself some materials and some meditation beads. Definitely need meditation beads. I know I'm needing them. You get some materials here, most likely to upgrade the new characters, and then you can actually get 5 Peace Chaos tickets using the vouchers that you get from the Umashu timed nodes. That's where you get those. They're pretty long. They're a solid chunk of time. I think it's like 8 hours if I'm correct. So you'll probably end up, unless you set your alarm to wake up, which I'm not going to do that. You'll be able to get 4 Peace Chaos tickets in a day and then 1 more the next day. Easy peasy. And then we do have a few other things here. We're going to come back to In Search of Strength in just a second here, but we do have the Generations Festival. This actually is the shop related to the new summoning banner. We'll get to that very soon. We do have Zuko and Iroh and plenty of relics here. We'll definitely be enjoying that. And then the Awakening is another banner shop that we'll be talking about very soon here. Finally, In Search of Strength. This is related specifically to the event quests. What this tells me is that we are going to be getting these currency items by completing those missions. Like I said, we'll be talking about that in a video very, very soon. We actually have a 5-star relic here for exile characters in the form of the Journey for Purpose. Increase the HP and attack of all exiles by 30%, does not attack with the same effect, and then heal for 25%, which will go up on skill up, whenever the caster receives a crushing hit. So kind of a neat little defensive boost and an offensive boost for exile characters. Next, we do have the horn again, we did see that earlier, and then a brand new art set here in the form of Book of the Ronin. This will actually increase speed by 12% and then 25%, and then the 6th set will increase your speed by 25% and increase turn bar by 50% when 3 allies die in battle. Now, there's something I want to bring up here. This is kind of huge because this is our very first event speed set. Keep in mind, the original set caps out at, I believe it is either 30 or 40. I haven't looked at it in a hot minute here. The original set here, okay, caps out at 30%. What you could do if you wanted to be sneaky, because the 6th set for this speed kind of sucks, honestly. Permanently increase speed of all allies by a measly 5% when you die. You don't even get the boost, you just croak. What this means, you could combine a 2 set of the new event set with a 4th set of these, granting you a full 37% speed boost. I think that's why it's taken us this long to see any of these arts for speed, because that's pretty powerful. That's a noteworthy speed boost, and not one that you have to perish for. So, you know, just something to keep in mind there. Just throwing that one out there. That's a little freebie from me to you. Next, we do have a couple other things to look at. We do have the In Search of Strength bundle here. This one will give you some extra materials here, as well as nature stones. I don't think this is going to be needed, so don't pull the trigger on this too early. Go through the event quests, see how many of the items you can get, and then kind of decide. I personally do not think this would be worth it, but I did want to bring it up since it is kind of a new thing. And then just taking a brief little look at the summon shop here, we do have the Wanderer's Veil for a discounted price for the 4-star legendary coins, and then of course the Tenacious Dagger for mythic coins. This is a very good item. Hard to say if it can compete with the Fire Lord's Throne though as far as relics go, but they are both quite good. If you happen to have some lying around, some of the 5-star coins, you can't go wrong with these two. Finally, we've had a lot to talk about, but we've got just a little bit more. We have In Search of Strength summoning banner and the Awakening summoning banner. Let's talk about the Awakening first, because this one's going to be fairly simple. You will notice this has a pity of 60, and then some items here. You'll notice there's a 5-star character ticket, a skill level token, and a legendary arts event chest. This is not unlike the arts banner that we had before, only this particular chest will have a full legendary set of the arena HP set, which I believe the 6th set of that will grant max HP increase to all allies for 2 turns, I believe it is. The defensive set from the timeline shop, which is defense and then grants yourself defense when you go into a positive stance. And then the counter set from, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe it's Hegemon's Folly, but I could be wrong on that one. In fact, I think it's actually the arena set that we have right now, if I'm remembering correctly. No, that is incorrect. No, I think I'm right on my first one. I think it's the Hegemon's Folly, but point being is that it is a counter set.
Going full Kiyoshi mean?
That was not what I meant to click on. So basically, HP, defense, counterattack. That's the 3 items in this chest. Additionally, we do have a 5% rate here, well 4.95, but effectively 5%. With Peace Aang, we have Chaos Zuko, and then all of the standard characters that you would normally see, as well, of course, you know, relics and all that jazz. So basically, what the deal with this is, every time you go to Pity, you will receive either a character ticket for a free 5-star, a skill level token, or the events chest. You'll receive one of those. You're not going to get all 3. You're only going to get one. Additionally, though, you will get the Awakening coin. You can't get this normally. You only get one of these from Pity. And then, as we took a look at earlier, you can use that in the event shop and get 1 item here. You can get 3 of each if you did, for some reason, go to Pity that many times. So basically, you get a random one of these 3, and then you get to choose one of these 3 for a total of 2 items every time you hit 60. My opinion on this banner is that it is really cool for newer players. The 5% rate is nothing to sneeze at, and there are no shortage of good characters and relics in this banner. It's pretty full. In fact, I believe this one's a little bit new. This has some cool stuff. However, I would advise against it a little bit unless you are a newer player who just needs volume. If you just need to get characters, period, you're lacking characters, you need muscle for those boss battles, then this is something you want to pay attention to. 5-star characters, of course, skill level tokens are always coveted, and you can't go wrong with a really good legendary set. But for your more advanced players that are watching this video, I might steer you away from this one just a little bit, especially in the interest of any future characters coming down the road. Speaking of future characters here, we do have a brand new Peace Chaos banner. We actually have a first here in the form of, first of all, having two peace characters, but also our very first 4-star peace character in the form of Iroh here. Looking at the rates here, of course, Zuko here is at a 1%. The relics are divided up on a 0.75%. And then if we take a look at the 4-star Iroh, he is sitting at a 3%. And then, of course, we do have some other items as well. So let's talk about those. We've got a lot here. We're actually going to start with the relics here and kind of work our way up. Gambler's Dice. This is for exile characters. Increase speed by 15% for the duration of the battle, which is pretty nice on its own right out the gate. Gain up to 2 random buffs or 1 debuff effect for 1 turn when the caster attacks. So, this one's kind of interesting. You get the increased speed, 15% right out the gate, which can go up on skill ups, and then whenever you attack, you will either get 2 random buffs, which is really cool, or inflict a debuff on yourself, which is not so cool. Not so cool at all. But you are rolling the dice. You're getting the 2 buffs, or you're getting the debuff. You'll just have to see what happens when you attack, which I think is kind of cool. I'm a sucker for dice. I think it's pretty cool, actually. Next, we do have the Traveler's card here. This is for outlaw characters. 35% chance for the caster to gain an extra turn after using an advanced skill. Very simple, very easy there. Just a chance for an extra turn. You really can't go wrong there. Now, let's talk about the 5-star relics. We do have the Honor of Poverty. Fortunately, they don't make you have to dance for this. This is usable on peace characters and firebender characters, so you do have to have both of those. I believe our only peace firebender characters are the 2 that we're getting right now, so this is going to be a little bit limited. And it has an interesting effect here. Decrease speed of all allies and enemies, excluding the caster, at the start of battle by 15% for 1 turn. This is a weird one, because basically it's super punishing for ultra fast characters. A super fast character like a Goro, for example, he's been really wreaking havoc lately, or even the Warden, people have been building him very quickly for good reason. 15% even at tier 1 of their ultra high speed stat is gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt a lot. Whereas you can kind of plan your own team around it, where your allies might be a little bit on the slower side. Therefore, this will not affect them quite as much. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this here, is you're trying to punish fast characters and kind of make them more on the level of your slower characters. So kind of an interesting little effect there. I'd be very curious to see it in practice here. Next, we do have Symbols of Shame. Now this one makes a lot more sense. This is for outlaws. Lifesteal for 10% of damage dealt for each exile and outlaw character on the team at the start of battle. And then increase the attack by 10% for 2 turns when the caster gains turn bar. So, if I'm reading this correctly, you get 10% for each exile and then 10% for each outlaw. We've seen effects like this before. One that immediately comes to mind is Tegaka, where she heals based on every pirate and then every exile, I believe it was. If I'm reading this correctly, let's say you have a full team of exiles and outlaws. I'm not sure that's really possible technically, but let's just assume for hypothetical sake. So that's technically 8, because you got 4 characters, and each of them have both of the faction bonuses there. Meaning this could go up to 80% if I am not mistaken, and that's at tier 1. Meaning if you do get some duplicate copies, it could be higher than that. At the worst, it'll go up to 40%. If it only counts each character as one, it would go up to 40%. If it counts each faction, it could go up as high as 80%, if such a thing as having an exile on an outlaw character, if there were that many characters, which I believe these 2 new ones we're getting are the only ones, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just kind of something, a little hypothetical to keep in mind there. Next, we do actually have the Ostrich Horse. This is for peace characters, and will increase the speed of peace-type heroes by 10% in battle. That, of course, will go up to, I believe, 20%, as it is a 4-star support. Our very first peace-focused support, which is an interesting first. However, we do have a much more interesting first here in the form of Iroh, our very first 4-star peace character. I honestly did not think they were going to do that, but here we are with Iroh. He is an Exile, White Lotus, and Outlaw character. And we're going to take a look here at his basic Wise Words. Deals 2 hits of fearless damage to all enemies, 25% chance to increase the cooldown of each enemy by 1. This attack cannot be countered. And what this will do is it will remove an offensive buff from the enemy and grant you a random defensive buff for 2 turns. I do wonder if, since it's an AoE and it's dealing 2 hits, I wonder if that will grant you 2 buffs for each hit or for each enemy attacked. If it's for each enemy attacked, that could get a little nutty, but I suspect that it's mostly just for each hit. So probably you're going to get 2 random defensive buffs twice. Next, we do have his advanced here, Insights of Strength. Grant a Reflect Shield to all allies for 1 turn. Grant increased speed to Outlaw and Exile allies on the team for 2 turns with a 35% chance to gain an extra turn. And the Reflect Shield is a new buff that will reflect 25% of the damage taken back to the attacker. So it's basically a Thorns effect, where the enemy will hit you and then take a little bit of damage in the process, maybe even kill them on a good day. So very interesting stuff there. We do have quite a lot of characters that hit hard. Moonslayer Zhao immediately comes to mind. This might make it backfire on him a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. And then we have Guiding Wisdom. Enters a guiding stance at the start of battle for 1 turn. Allies inflict their element on the target enemy for 2 turns whenever they attack. So 2 parts to this. Guiding Stance. Increase the damage and resistance of outlaw and faction allies by 30%, and decrease the attack and critical damage of all enemies by 30%. So, nice little damage buff to his fellow outlaw and exile characters, and then a nice little damage debuff to his enemies, both attack and crit damage. That's really gonna hurt him quite a bit. And that will always happen at the start of battle. You don't even have to worry about doing anything. Just immediately pops up. And then, allies inflict their element on the target enemy for 2 turns whenever they attack. Basically going to turn each of their attacks into one of their bending abilities. For example, if a Zuko attacked, and he's a firebender character, this would give him that chance, assuming he beats the resistance check, to inflict that fire debuff. That could stack up in a hurry, especially if it counts for each hit. I immediately think of the Blue Spirit, because his basic attacks 4 times. My question is, will that be only 1 special element, or 4 special elements if he's able to beat that resistance? A little food for thought there. Not sure. We'll take some, definitely need some testing. Finally, we do have Zuko. He is our newest 5-star Peace Firebending character with some very interesting effects here. He is an Exile, an Outlaw, and a Sword Master character. First of all, Path of the Exile. Deal 3 hits of banish damage to 1 enemy and inflict the special element on each enemy for 1 turn. Now what banish damage does It has a 75% chance to remove one debuff from allies, so a nice little helpful effect there, and then remove a buff from a random enemy for each debuff removed. So if he cleanses an ally, he can remove a buff from the enemy, and there's 3 hits of this. That could really not only clean up your team, but seriously affect the enemy team while you're at it. Next, we do have the Advanced Searing Swords. Deal 1 hit of banish damage, followed by 2 hits of Fireblade damage to one enemy. Gain Skill Nullifier for 1 turn, a 35% chance to gain an extra turn. Fireblade damage is an interesting one. This removes all defensive buffs, and then inflict the fire and special element on the enemy for 3 turns. This will ignore resistance. This one is nasty. This one is real nasty. Being able to inflict both fire and special elements at the same time, and the enemy can't do a dang thing about it, yeah. Immunity just became very, very important if you're fighting this version of Zuko. And then, of course, skill nullifiers and extra turns. You can't go wrong there. Can never go wrong there. Next, we do have Zuko alone. Gain Wanderer's Shroud for 2 turns. Gain 50% increased turn bar, increase all stats by 50%, and instantly remove Wanderer's Shroud when 3 allies are defeated in battle. All damage dealt cannot be countered, and increases based on the enemy's max HP and the caster's speed. A lot going on here. So Wanderer's Shroud is the biggie. He will get this at the very beginning of battle. Advanced and combo skills are disabled, so he can't be used in any kind of combos, and he can't use his advanced at the beginning of the battle. They're just disabled. However, he cannot die for 1 turn if Outlaw Faction allies are alive at the start of his turn, and then when this Wanderer's Shroud is removed, his basic skill will be enhanced. A lot going on here, but basically he becomes immortal as long as he has this effect and there is an outlaw character still alive. If all of his allies die in battle, if he loses 3 allies, he will gain that 50% turn bar and increase all of his stats by 50%. So basically, what's going to happen is if he loses this Shroud effect, he's going to get a massive turn bar and stat increase, and then be able to follow up with his Searing Swords, which he could not use before. Also, he gets a new basic here in the form of Path of the Exile Enhanced. Deal 3 hits of banish damage to one enemy, and inflict a rank 2 fire element on each enemy for 1 turn. This will ignore resistance. He is a debuffing monster, and not only that, but he just straight up won't die for a while as long as he does have an outlaw character on the field, and if he loses all of his allies, then he's just gonna get ticked off even more. The trick here is definitely to get him as the last man standing. He gets that increased turn bar effect, and then you follow up with a Searing Swords, hopefully get that extra turn, and then a Devastating Strike from the enhanced Path of the Exile. That's what I'm getting out of this. So, deep breaths, deep breaths. There's a lot to talk about with this event here. Finally, one more thing. We do have one more little item here. This does have a 1% chance to grant you an In Search of Strength coin, and if I'm correct, you do get this coin on Pity as well. What can you use that with? Well, let me tell you. It's just like the Spirit's Call event. You go over here to the Generations Festival, and you can use them to get the characters or the relics. You can get Zuko for 3 coins, you can get Iroh for 2 coins, and then for the 5-star relics, you can get 1 for 2 coins, or the 4 stars, you can get 1 for a single coin. Additionally, the Ostrich Horse is here as well, worth 2 coins. So that is what we have. A lot going on, but basically the important stuff you want to keep in mind: exile characters and firebender characters. Those are going to be what you want to use to get through these events, and you'll start chipping away at them as you go. But that is all we have for this event. I've got a long night ahead of me. I've got a lot of recording to do, but I am excited. I am very excited. But first, I'm going to drink some water. So that is all we have for today. Let me know down in the comments below how you are enjoying this event or if this video helped you at all. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe, and we shall see you next time. Have a good one.